Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Karmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way. In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
Reporting live from Hyper Club.
Welcome back. Happy Saturday. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward. And if it's Saturday and you're tuning in, you already know what it is. This is the Negro News Network. And I'm bringing you the stories that happen around the Black community, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And today I have some ugly and some good for us today. Four stories that we're getting into. Of course, we're starting off with an update on what's going on with this Karmelo Anthony case. I say, hey, well, I'm doing this Negro News so I can keep up with this Karmelo Anthony case like I wanted to keep up with the Daniel Penny case, so I can keep up with this case, all right? So Negro News. So make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and share. make sure as many people as possible know about what's going on over here on the Shoulders of Giants, and you telling as many people as possible. And remember, if you don't hit that like button, you don't like black people. You ain't African American if you don't hit that like button. Joe Biden told me to tell you. So, Karmelo Anthony update. So, if you don't know what's going on, quick recap. About, well, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, at a track meet in Texas, Karmelo Anthony stabbed another young man in the chest at a track meet, citing self-defense. And I actually do have the arrest report, the police report, and basically was arrested. And so originally, I think the bond was $1 million. And so the bond was reduced. And that's what's causing a lot of this ruckus that's going on now. The GoFundMe and the bond being reduced. So it's not a GoFundMe. It's not the platform being used is not GoFundMe, but the crowdfunding platform that's being used. The founder, the owner of it, the person who runs it, already told the people that he's not going to eliminate Karmelo Anthony's funds. That was a platform that was used for white people who were convicted of murder. And so now it's going to be used for Karmelo Anthony as well. And so now his bond was reduced and he was able to be bailed out. And now he's at home with the ankle monitor, and people have lost their minds. And says his bond was reduced from $1 million to $250,000. And that was according to court records. The teen has been issued an electronic monitor and will remain on house arrest, only leaving with court approval. That's what the records say. Anthony must also be supervised by a parent or adult at all times and can't have contact with the victim's family. He also has to check in with court bailiffs every Friday. And so that's what the records show. In a statement on April 15th, Howard said that Anthony is now back home with his family, and Howard is the spokesperson turning out to leave. So Karmelo and the entire Anthony family look forward to some quiet time together, his lawyer wrote. They asked for space and time for the full investigation for both sides to play out fairly. Now, the problem with that is the family is facing death threats, as you heard the mother speaking out about, and she's in tears about, because her family has been doxed. The whole family has been doxed, and they are receiving death threats, and they are afraid of their lives, as she explained. And so this is unfortunate, because a lot of these same people who are hurling the death threats at the Anthony family are some of the same people who were supporting Daniel Penny and others who murdered black people. Right? So remember, for a lot of these people, it's not about justice. It's not about equality. It's about power. It's about acquiring and maintaining power and maintaining the status quo and being able to reinforce your power. Reinforce, right? And in this case, this is not a reinforcement of power. So they're trying what they can to reestablish themselves to reinforce power, right? And so this has caused a lot of problems on both sides. Now, from what I was saying earlier, the young man, I don't know why his name escapes me, but the young man who was stabbed, his father was actually at the press conference. And so once again, the father is like, he doesn't want this to become a racial matter, but it's too late. It's already become a racial matter because of the media. I don't know why the white young man, his name escapes me. I'm trying to look for his name, but the media has, Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf. So the media, the Metcalf family, right? So the father of the Metcalf boys, the Metcalf twins, he asked for it not to be a racial issue, but it turned to a racial issue before he even said that. And that's because, like I said in the last video, That's because of white media outlets and black media outlets. White people and black people are fueling the racial tension. And there are a lot of people, black and white, who don't like what's happening. And on behalf of Karmelo Anthony, they don't think the bail should have been reduced, and they don't think he should have been released on house arrest, right? And a lot of people are furious at the judge, and we're going to get into the judge because that's an important piece to this as well. What's happening with the judge? But let's get into the police report, the Karmelo Anthony police report. So let me pull that up. Wrong thing. Share my screen. I hit the wrong thing. All right, here we go. Karmelo Anthony. So this is the page 4 area, the beginning of page 4 of the police report. And I want to start here because it gets to like what actually led to the stabbing. And so it says the following is a summary of my contact with, and you see it's blacked out, advised he was sitting under the Memorial High School pop-up tent with his team and was near the victim, Austin, and the suspect, who was later identified as Karmelo Anthony. Anthony was from Centennial High School and was sitting under the Memorial High School tent. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under their team's tent, and Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." No one really thought Anthony had any weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony. And then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest, telling everyone to get help. Advised he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial track member was friends with Anthony and he could identify Anthony. It described Anthony as a black male, skinny, and possibly a goatee, short, puffy hair, and wearing Centennial High School clothing. This concluded my contact with the person who gave that that recount of the incident. And so this is one of the police officers. This is Officer Taylor Wetzel. Let me see. Multiple witnesses providing statement to officers where the stabbing occurred. Cortez, myself, and the suspect, Anthony. The stabbing notes the athlete had been stabbed in the chest when I arrived at the scene, already marked off, carrying due to the nature of the offense. Trying to see if there's another account. I asked him what happened. So this is Officer Alvin Fisher talking to someone. Says, I asked him what happened, and he stated they were all sitting on the bleachers under a Memorial High School tent when another male who he did not know walked over and sat under the tent. Then Austin said to the victim, told this male that since he did not go to Memorial, he had to leave the tent. Austin and the male went back and forth, and then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. Blank said during this time of argument, the male was reaching around in the bag he had. It was at this time that he took out a knife and stabbed Austin and then left the scene. This was all remembered when he talked to me. So that's another account of Austin putting his hands on Karmelo Anthony and being the aggressor first. Let me see. The student quickly informed me that he knew the suspect threw the knife and pointed me in the local. So that's them trying to find a knife. So, but that's this is the official police report, and that's 2 accounts of people saying that Austin Metcalf was the aggressor. Austin Metcalf was the initiator of the conflict and the contact. And so Karmelo Anthony is citing self-defense. So as of right now, I'm just giving you the information that's available, right? Carmelo Anthony is citing self-defense. Of course, the Metcalf family is not citing self-defense, right? Their son is no longer here, so they wouldn't be on the side of self-defense, but the Anthony family is versus the Metcalf family. And according to the police reports, Austin Metcalf was the initiator of the conflict and the contact. Now it's going to be up to the legal system and the jury and everybody to decide if Carmelo Anthony was well within his rights to put his hands on Austin. I mean, to use the weapon against Austin. So that's where, well, let me fix my screen, but that's where we're going to have to go with that for right now. But like I said, the judge is also receiving death threats, and the judge has also been doxxed. And a lot of people are saying that the judge only gave Carmelo the reduction in bail and was able to let him go on house arrest because she's black and he's black.
House in Atlanta. For Hype Plus News, I'm Symphony Thompson. Angela Tucker, the Texas judge who reduced the bond for 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, is hiring more security after reducing Anthony's bail from $1 million to $250,000 and receiving death threats because of it. Tucker's decision to reduce the bail was based on Anthony's age, lack of criminal history, and reputation within the community. Now, of course, the decision to reduce bail was met with a mixed response, as the incident between Anthony and Metcalf seems to have turned into a race issue thanks to social media as well as mainstream news. The social media outcry for Anthony's release has led to many white social media users to hurl insults and threats towards the judge's way. As a result, Tucker has changed her X account from public to private. Since her decision, Tucker has received racist threats and attacks from Metcalf supporters, with some social media accounts posting her picture and information, as this incident has divided the local community and nation. According to TMZ, the county sheriff's office said court staff and concerned citizens have reported threatening remarks made against the judge and is looking for any party who has released private and personal information about the judge to the public, including her address and phone number. Investigators are also still looking to identify the persons who made threats against Tucker, stating, if the individual responsible is identified, potential charges could include unlawful disclosure of residents' address or telephone number and obstruction or retaliation. Now that he's received bail, Anthony currently awaits trial on house arrest for Austin Metcalf's murder, as it remains to be proven whether or not Anthony's stabbing of Metcalf was in self-defense or not. Anthony is now facing one count of first-degree felony murder after stabbing Metcalf during an argument over a seat at a track meet that turned physical. While Anthony has received death threats of his own due to outrage from many members of white social media, Tucker has also had to take extra safety precautions. When talking to Fox 4 News, Tucker would claim she only learned of the case when she was assigned to it at random. In regards to her reducing Anthony's bond, she would say, I don't take that lightly at all. I take those things very seriously. There is no replacement for the loss of life or the loss of a child. I don't want the families to think a bond amount is connected to the dignity of loss. You cannot make the person come back. Now, several social media users couldn't help but point out some of the hypocrisy of white social media users who have either supported the release, lower bond, or raised funds for a few white assailants that were in similar situations, including Kyle Rittenhouse and Daniel Penny.
Just saying.
One social media users would compare the individuals by writing, Judge Angela Tucker is getting death threats after lowering the bond for Carmelo Anthony to $250,000, allowing his release under house arrest. The same people who crowdsourced bail for Kyle Rittenhouse are upset that bail was reduced. Daniel Penny was released on a $100,000 bond, while another social media user would share their own similar thoughts. Collin County, Texas is predominantly white and only 10% black. In spite of those demographics, Angela Tucker was elected the 199th Judicial District Court as a Republican. White folks liked her well enough to elect her. She heard the facts of the case, followed the law, and lowered the bail of Karmelo Anthony from $1 million to $250,000. Karmelo is free on bond. Now the white folks who elected her hate her and are spewing racist vitriol and making death threats. Due to the semantics and added social media presence on the case, it seems like it would be nearly impossible for this not to turn into a discussion of race, despite the rejection from the victim's parents. So, what do you guys think about Judge Angela Tucker's decision to lower Karmelo Anthony's bail from $1 million to $250,000? Do you think she made the right choice? Why or why not? How should Judge Angela Tucker be protected with these new death threats being thrown her way? Let us know in the comments below. And stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing right here to our YouTube channel. Hit the bell and select all so you can receive notifications to all of our content and not just some. Check out Hypers Club for all your cool and original merchandise and content. And for our YouTube viewers, if you like this story, send us a super thanks by hitting the button below, and you can tip us what you want to show your support. Reporting live from Hyper Club House in Atlanta for Hype Plus News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Yeah, so a lot of bull and foolishness is happening. So Judge Angela Tucker, as I stated, and as the video stated, as well as the Anthony family, are facing death threats from what they are saying, mainly white people who are mad at the bond rent being reduced and Karmelo Anthony being on house arrest. And the same people who support the white people when they're in the same situation. So when they feel like their power is being challenged, they feel like they might not be as superior as they're supposed to be, they get violent. That's how all of these people end up being doxed, right? And so it says a Texas judge who reduced the bond for 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony is beefing up security after receiving threats following her decision to reduce Anthony's bail from $1 million to $250,000, according to TMZ. And so this is from Blabbit. It's not a huge report, but you know, that's crazy. But it's America though, right? It's America. Are we expecting anything different? Are we expecting anything different? So, I mean, I don't want us to get it twisted about what's happening, what we're dealing with, what goes on every day, this country that we live in, the system of white supremacy that we live in. Let's not get anything twisted. When a black person does something to a white person, white people want to react and protect their interest. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson saying they want to protect they are acting off of their fear of genetic annihilation, right? But I would say that in combination with a whole other thing, they're trying to protect what they have. Fear kicks up, yeah, but fear of maintaining dominance or not maintaining dominance. That's why I stress so much knowing your enemy. We already expect them to behave this way. So we must always be proactive and have protective measures already embedded within the culture. So before they even do this, we're already ready because we already know what the situation will bring. Whenever black people make any significant progress in mass, you got to expect backlash. Whenever a white person is harmed or eliminated by a black person, you got to expect some type of backlash. You have to. And it's unfortunate what's happening to the Anthony family, It's unfortunate what has happened overall, and it's unfortunate what's happening to Angela Tucker. And I've seen videos of black men being very disparaging and very disrespectful to her, because basically everybody's saying that N-word B has only done this because she sees him as her son. Well, you have a young man who has no criminal history in a situation where, according to the police report and all of the evidence, it seems like he was not the aggressor. According to the information that we have presented, it seems like he was not the aggressor. So no criminal history. He's not the aggressor. You are allowed to carry a weapon. As long as you're within the parameters in the state of Texas, you're allowed to do that. So, and according to, if I'm correct about what the information, or the information is correct that I came across, the knife was within the legal parameters to be carried. He's considered an adult and being treated like an adult. A model student, captain of his football team and his track team. So he shouldn't be treated like a career criminal, even though this is a high profile case. It's a high profile case in reverse, because usually around this time in the summer, or when it's starting to get hot, it will be a white person who's killed a black person. But I wouldn't be surprised if that comes. So this is the latest that is happening in this Karmelo Anthony case. People are upset and mad because he's been released. Death threats are happening for not just the Anthony family, but also the judge, Angela Tucker. Yeah, that's what's happening. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on so we can get all of our stories in. So that's just the first story. So the second story is we got this judge that's wild or not. Judge Sonia McNight thinks that she is a real gangster, and she out here shooting boyfriends and acting like a gangster and using her power as a judge to get away with crime. Black lives don't matter to black people a lot of times, and that's a problem. Let's get it.
A Dauphin County judge sent many defendants to jail, and this week, she was just hauled off the jail herself, where she's going to be for a very long time, possibly forever. Finally, the 58-year-old city girl judge of PA, Sonia McNight, was held accountable after years of reckless and dangerous behavior. I first brought this story to you over a year ago when the sitting judge was arrested after a night at her boyfriend's house left him shot in the temple and blind. Back then, it was super shocking to see a sitting judge being hauled off to jail, but she took her mug shot and was released. Later, we found her in the club, bragging about having bail money. For the second time, Sonia had put a bullet in a man that she was in a relationship with. And the dishonorable judge thought she could somehow get away with it just as she did before. But no, this time it was different. The judge with a bad sense of judgment wasn't so lucky.
News 8 has learned suspended Dauphin County Judge Sonia McNight, who was found guilty of attempted murder yesterday, is in the Cumberland County Prison. Dauphin County Prison tells us McNight was taken from the courthouse to Cumberland County Prison, saying it's part of a warrants agreement because she was a judge in Dauphin County. She was convicted of shooting her ex-boyfriend while he was sleeping last year. McNight is scheduled to be sentenced May 28th.
Sonia Baltimore McNight was first elected as judge on November 3, 2015. 6 years later, she won her re-election bid in 2021 after several criminal violations, including the most serious offense against her ex-husband. In 2014, Sonia got married and was so combative it barely survived 2 years before the divorce was filed. They lived apart for a year or so. He was moving down to North Carolina to get away and start over completely with the help of his sister. Sonia, who was separated from him and still going through a divorce, tried to stop him from leaving. In October 2018, he was finally set to leave PA to head down to North Carolina with his sister, but Sonia did not want him to leave. So she stole his keys, jumped in his car, and tried to drive off and steal it. He ran to her and tried to pull her out his car, but she wouldn't stop the car and ended up rolling into a fire hydrant. And of course, when the police got there, she started telling a bunch of lies and playing innocent. She told officers she was going to the grocery store in his car, and he was violently trying to get her out of the car, attempting to remove her hands from his wheel. Now, according to his sister, who heard the whole dispute, Sonya got mad at him because she didn't want him to leave and go to her house in North Carolina. So, in the testimony provided by the sister, she accused Sonya of preventing him from leaving, and that's the real reason why she stole his car. Prosecutors ignored his sister's testimony and sided with their sister in law enforcement, Judge Sonya McNight. She flipped the whole situation and even tried to weaponize her authority in relationships to get him locked up when she was indeed the combative one. Sonya pressed charges against him and got a restraining order. He was jailed for 15 days and was later placed on parole for 23 months. Now, she was the one who violated the law but was successfully able to put it all on him, and that wasn't enough for Sonya. She kept harassing her husband and continued to destroy his life. She made false claims saying he violated the order 23 times, but according to the husband, she was the one showing up to his apartment. This is after he told her to stop popping up at his house. And get this, his co-workers even provided testimony that she was popping up to their job talking about reconciling with him. And once again, her crooked law enforcement friends believed her and violated him instead. Yeah, they arrested him. Meanwhile, she was going to the judge asking for economic relief during the pending divorce. She wanted her husband of only 2 years before the divorce filing to pay money to her every month. He worked as an HVAC tech, and she wanted a percentage of that check. That restraining order was downgraded to allow peaceful contact. Then she lured her estranged husband to her house to move furniture. One chair was moved successfully, but while he was moving the other, Sonya ambushed him, shot him in the groin and hand.
Police in Harrisburg are investigating a shooting at a home that, according to property tax records, is owned by a Dauphin County Magisterial District Judge. A lot of the details have unfolded about this case throughout the day. Fox 43's Samantha Galvez joins us now in Harrisburg with what we know right now.
Jackie, we know that a woman that lives at this home fired a shot against a man she had an active protection from abuse order against. Now, that's according to the Dauphin County District Attorney. All day long, we've told you that the home is owned by the Magisterial District Judge, Sonya McNight, but it is unconfirmed if she currently lives here. The shooting happened just after 8:30 this morning on the 2700 block of Lexington Street. This afternoon, many people surrounding the home sharing hugs, as well as police and canines investigating the area. While the people involved have not been identified, property tax records show it is owned by Magisterial District Judge Sonya McNight. We did some digging and found that a PFA was filed against McKnight's husband, Enoch, back in October. In it, he is barred from McKnight's address. Additional court documents show just 1 day before the PFA was granted, Enoch was charged with simple assault, reckless endangerment, and criminal mischief. The documents go on to explain he assaulted Sonya. We spoke with a neighbor who has lived down the street for 13 years. She also knows Judge McKnight. She says she was asleep when it happened, but heard about it after being woken up by numerous phone calls.
Too close to home. You know, it's right down the street from me. You know, and it's just like, it needs to stop.
Now, the man that was shot is in stable condition. As for the woman that fired that shot, she is cooperating with police.
Somehow, this possessive woman thought she could control him. That was one of the main issues in the relationship, then using her position as a judge to get him in trouble. We're talking about popping up to his job in his apartment, violating the restraining order, then reporting him for doing it. Getting him locked up twice after she stole his car, preventing him from going down to North Carolina with his sister. And now she had lured him over to her house to get furniture with a premeditated plan to do exactly what she did. But once again, he was the one treated like the suspect. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital where they had him stuck to the bed with an ankle monitor. Now, anybody with common sense could tell the judge was being conniving and manipulative. She twisted the whole story around as if there was a mutual dispute and somehow she had no other choice. But I guess common sense isn't so common in the Commonwealth. You have a man shot while moving a chair, mid-move, chair in hand, boom. And for the umpteenth time, all of her law enforcement partners protected her. They went on to justify the shooting and cleared her after being on paid administrative leave. In 2020, her then 33-year-old son was pulled over by police. He called his mama to his rescue. That's when Sonya pulled up, removed a pill bottle from her son's car, and started snapping on police, asking for the police chief to get down there. It was that incident that got her caught up and charged with official oppression and tampering with evidence after police accused her of interfering with the arrest of her grown-behind 33-year-old son. The following year, she got off again. Sonya was acquitted of all charges and praised God on the steps of the courthouse.
I feel great. God is good. Yes, he's good. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful. Yes, God will intervene. Yeah, he will intervene, but he will also vindicate you of all righteousness when you keep the faith and trust him. He said, no good thing will I withhold from you. So I'm grateful to God on this day for believing in me and knowing that I did nothing wrong.
Jump off a bridge, lady. Jump off a bridge.
And a magisterial district judge in Dauphin County will be suspended one more time after a run-in with Harrisburg police 3 years ago. Sonia McNight was acquitted of.
So I'm gonna stop it right there because just giving you a background of who Sonia McNight is criminally. She has a history of being violent towards boyfriends and just wielding her power and influence as a judge to do whatever she wanted to do and get away with it with no consequences. But this last situation, her shooting her boyfriend in the head, blinding him and wounding him, has left her to be convicted of attempted homicide and aggravated assault. So she was taken away in handcuffs after the trial judge rejected a defense request that she be released. She faces up to 60 years in prison when she's sentenced on May 28th, right? The shooting occurred in February 2024 at the boyfriend's home. McNight had lived there, but the man repeatedly asked her to leave when their relationship ended, the authority said. Prosecutors argued at trial that McNight was a jealous partner who did not like that she had been asked to leave. But her attorney said the ex-boyfriend couldn't identify the shooter. The ex-boyfriend testified that he couldn't see after the shooting, but that McNight was the only other person in the home at the time. The jury, comprised of Delaware County residents who were bused to Harrisburg for the trial, deliberated for 2 hours before convicting McNight on both counts she faced. McNight, an elected judge in Dauphin County since 2016, was suspended without pay in mid-November of 2023 by the Court of Judicial Discipline, which handles misconduct allegations against judges. The Judicial Conduct Board, which investigates the charges misconduct cases against Pennsylvania judges, alleged in their September filing that McNight violated judicial probation from a previous misconduct case centered on her actions regarding a 2020 traffic stop involving her son. She was acquitted of criminal charges in that matter when she moved, like Pink Moat just said, she removed the criminal charges. So Sonia McNight thinks she is a real gangster. Sonia McNight thinks she white. She want to operate like a white person. And I want to give a shout out to Pink Book Lessons. That video comes from the YouTube channel Pink Book Lessons, who always does a great job of giving breakdowns on things that are happening all over. And so she gave you a good synopsis of who Sonia McNight is and how Sonia McNight get down. And one of my first questions is, how do you shoot somebody and then get another boyfriend? How do you stay in the news for criminal stuff and continue to get reelected and continue to sit in the judicial chair, continue to be able to do what you do, and people still continue to rock with you and quote unquote love you and want to be with you? How does that happen? Like, you're not a smart man if you're dating the judge with a criminal background, and one of the crimes is shooting her boyfriend and trying to run him over with a car. That's the chick you want to date? Like, you down bad like that? That's the lady you want to date? But she's a black woman who's in a position of power to exercise systematic oppression. A black woman who's in a position of power to exercise systematic oppression. She's using that against black men. When a black man makes her feel like she's been wronged, she uses that power against the black man to harm that black man. That's not what we're supposed to be doing with these positions. So what's the point of putting somebody black in the positions if they're going to uphold the system of white supremacy and still do things that harm and oppress black people. You gonna try to ruin my life because you mad that your feelings ain't what you want them to be? Like, seriously? Come on, Sonya. Come on, Sonya. And I'm just fast forwarding a little bit, but come on, Sonya. Come on, Sonya. You can't be doing that. Now you can't. I'm through with this Sonya story as far as the video, but you can't be that person in that position and operating the way you operate. If you're gonna operate like that, you should be in the all skin and kin, remember, right? So, because black people are always adamant about voting for black people. Black people are always adamant about supporting black people. Black people are always adamant about black people being appointed to positions and black people being in these positions of power and all these and the fullness of it. Black people want black people in these positions, but when black people get in these positions, we're oftentimes our own worst enemies because you put somebody in there who is dead set on upholding the system of white supremacy. Sonya McNight is one of those people, just like Tiffany Dalton, just like Clarence Thomas, all these other black folk who don't care about black people, especially black people that they not related to, or black people who ain't doing nothing for them, or black people who not making them feel good. These are the egotistical people. These are the people who want their butt kissed. And if you're not kissing their butt, they're going to use the power that they have to make your life a living hell as much as they can. I am glad they have her. Throw her under the jail. Throw her under the jail. I mean, she can go to hell with everybody who's threatening the Anthony family and threatening Angela Tucker. They can go to hell with this piece of judge. Come on, lady. You really operating like that? And you can sleep at night? Like, you could do all that stuff and sleep at night? You can do that to your own folk, to your own people, to men that you laying down with, to men that you claim to be in relationships with. You like a whole movie character. You watch too many movies growing up. You like a whole supervillain movie character. Really? This what you want to be remembered for? Sonya McNight, this what you want to be remembered for? The judge who her downfall was she was trying to murder black men that she was in relationships with. And she was about doing that thug life stuff. She might as well get it tatted on her chest. Hey, well, I hope you can bob and weave in that with Big Bertha and them, but that's crazy that this is a black woman who's operating like this and doing this to black men. I'm just saying. All right, so let's move forward. This next story is a tragic story. It's a sad story. It's a bad story that ended up worse. So let's get into it. Subscribe to Pink Book Lessons as well. I'm gonna put the link to her
and welcome
channel
back to the Factor.
in the description.
Former LSU football player who was facing criminal charges has died in the Houston area. Harris County deputies say 24-year-old Kyron Lacey killed himself during a chase Saturday night in Spring. Lacey was accused of causing a deadly crash in December and leaving the scene without calling police. Separate incident there. Records show he turned himself involvement, stopped his prospects. Joining us to talk about this tonight, therapist Dr. Jasmine Boone, former athlete LaMarcus Newman, and former LSU athlete Kobe Fontenot.
So before they get into their discussion, let me give you some more details. So former LSU receiver Kyron Lacey, who was found dead Saturday night in Houston, died in an apparent self-deletion in his car while being pursued by authorities, according to a Harris County Sheriff's report released on Sunday. According to Harris County authorities, police responded to a call from a female family member who said Lacey had discharged a firearm into the ground during a verbal argument late Saturday night. When they arrived on the scene, they learned that the suspect Lacey had fled in a vehicle. Authorities said their pursuit of Lacey ended when he crashed. They say that when officers approached the vehicle to extract Lacey, he had died from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Lacey he was 24 years old, was pronounced dead on the scene by emergency responders. He had been facing criminal charges stemming from a fatal car accident in Louisiana in December. That's what they were just talking about in the clip. We're saddened to learn of the tragic passing of former LSU football student athlete Kyron Lacey. LSU said in a statement, "Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and loved ones, as well as his former teammates and coaches impacted by his passing." In the social media post Sunday, Lacey's father, Kenny Lacey, urged parents to check on their children's mental health from an early age. "Our lives have changed forever, and this will never be okay. But God needed my baby more than he was needed here." Kenny Lacey wrote on Facebook, "This has to be the biggest pill our families had to swallow, but I know love and compassion in our families will get us through." Kyron Lacey was accused of crashing a car that killed a 78-year-old man on December 17th and then fleeing the scene without rendering aid or calling authorities. On January 12th, he turned himself in to authorities and was jailed and then released on a $151,000 bail, according to the police. The Lafourchier, Louisiana Parish Sheriff Office records indicated that Lacey was charged with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle. A grand jury was to begin hearing evidence in the case on Monday, so he was about to go to trial. Got to argument, shot into the ground from his gun, got in the car, fled, police chasing him. By the time they got up with him in the car crash, they found out he's eliminated himself, right? It is with profound sorrow that we confirm the tragic passing of Kyron Lacey. First and foremost, that we ask the public and the media give this family the space and time they need to give this unimaginable loss and peace. That's from the attorney. He declared himself for the draft on December 19th. So, and that was 2 days after the initial car crash. So this is an unfortunate incident that happened in Houston, and the young man lost his life. Of course, we're gonna have to stay on this story and get more details to find out more, but some are attributing it to a mental health issue. Most of the sources that I've come across are attributing it to a mental health issue. Of course, I have to find out a lot more about that, and I will, but this is not good and a sad situation, especially for the Lacey family, as well as the family of the 78-year-old man that lost his life due to Kyron Lacey in the car accident. So one of the things that I was looking at this clip earlier, and one of the things that they were talking about is the pressure of being a NFL draft prospect. So I'm not sure how on the draft list Kyron Lacey was, but they was talking about the pressure. But if we're talking about pressure, we're talking about wanting to go to the draft, knowing that you have been charged with taking somebody's life and that you could go to jail. Because what it said, he's charged with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle. Felony homicide, or negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle. So trying to go to the draft, charged with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle. And all of that is happening at the same time. It gets into an argument, shoots into the ground. Police gets to chasing them. We can only assume that he may have thought that was the best situation for him because he didn't want to go to jail. We can only assume, but don't take that to the bank. We can only assume, but this is sad that we lost yet another young black man to a tragic situation that could possibly have been prevented. And I know, the statement of the father checking on your son's mental health, and I guess they can only do so much. I mean, you can only do so much. People still have to be open and honest with you. So you can only do so much. Hopefully they gave him all the love and attention and listened to him and gave him the ear that he needed, gave him the nurturing that he needed. But I don't know what more could or couldn't have been done with the lack of information that we have. All we have is this. So when we get more, I give more. But This is the Kyron Lacey situation. Unfortunately, we lost another young black man to his own actions. So when we're looking at our overall culture again, of course, some people will be looking at the Lacey family, but I say we're looking at the overall culture of Black America again. So, yeah. Our prayers go out to the Lacey family and all other families that are impacted by Kyron Lacey's actions. All right, so our last story is South Africa has basically South Africa saying that they have made progress in finding a cure for HIV/AIDS with the new study that they have. So let's get into it.
To send our best to his family as well. Such a tough time. Still ahead.
Civil society organizations have welcomed this groundbreaking research. They say it's a step closer to finding a cure for HIV and AIDS. The study tested an innovative combination of immunotherapy approach aimed at reducing or eliminating hidden traces of HIV in the body. It showed that 20% of trial participants remained virally suppressed after 1.5 years. People living with HIV say the results provide hope towards the development of future HIV cure approaches.
Prof said they are not going to continue with it because of the small amount that's presented good data, but we are very excited because this is a step to the right direction. As a person living with HIV, we've always been looking for cure rather than taking medication for the rest of our lives.
We can make South Africa great by actually investing in ours. We do not even have why we're buying treatment. Why can't we create our own? Because these things are being done here. We study them. So why don't we open a pharmacy or a pharmacy that could create everything that we really need and start supporting our people?
Professor Tumbindungu says the current study focused mainly on women. Globally, they account for more than half of all people living with HIV. He says they will continue to look at factors that influenced the prolonged suppression in the 20% of participants.
This was a very important study because first, it is the first HIV cure trial in Africa involving asking participants to interrupt their treatment under very close monitoring. But it was also important because we did it in women, and women are disproportionately affected by HIV, particularly in Africa, but they represent only less than 20% of participants in HIV cure trials. So it's really important that women should be involved in this kind of research because we want to make products that can be used by both men and women.
Meanwhile, Dr. Christa Dong says they need to intensify efforts to find a cure or better vaccine to prevent tuberculosis and other critical diseases in Africa.
It's more pressing than ever.
So stop it right there and I'll let the rest of it play, but just want to stop it right there to give some updates, some comments, and give you my thoughts on this. So a groundbreaking HIV trial conducted in Durban, South Africa has demonstrated promising results in achieving antiretroviral therapy-free virus control. The virus shows that 20% of participants remain off ART and are virally suppressed after 1.5 years. And basically, so I've worked in HIV/AIDS prevention for the past 15 years, right? So this is definitely groundbreaking because it will save a lot of Black lives, right? And so antiretroviral therapy, these are HIV medicines that people who have HIV would take. Now, antiretroviral medicines have greatly improved and there have been great advancements over the years. So in the past, people would have to take 20 pills a day, a whole bunch of pills a day. Now, antiretrovirals have been reduced down to a single pill. And they can put more than one they can put combination, 2 to 3 combinations that would have been 2 to 3 pills. They put those combinations into one pill, and those are some of the antiretroviral therapies. But now they're moving to not having to give the people the antiretroviral therapy, but having to give them maybe a pill or an injection that could lower or suppress the duplication of the virus in the human's body. So basically, it'll be no traces of the virus at all in the human's body. So if that can actually happen, man, that will be great for the Black community, right? The results of the study were presented at the 2025 conference on retroviruses and opportunistic infections in San Francisco in March. Oh, I wish I would have went to that. I would have nerded out of that. The study tested a promising HIV treatment approach called combination immunotherapy. What I'm talking about, right? The goal was to either eliminate or reduce hidden traces of HIV in the body so the immune system could keep the virus in check without the need of lifelong medications, right? So the white blood cells will be able to get rid of the virus versus the virus beating up the white blood cells, right? And the study of the first HIV cure clinical trial in Africa, the researchers treated participants with antiretrovirals very soon after they acquired HIV. Once the virus was controlled by ART, they administered powerful immune boosters, which helped the immune system fight the virus more effectively. Under close medical supervision, participants then stopped ART to see if their bodies could control the virus on their own. And remember, ART is antiretroviral therapy, right? 20 women were enrolled in the trial, a significant milestone because women are a group disproportionately affected by HIV, yet are often underrepresented in cure-related research. And remember, so globally, women are the group who are disproportionately affected by HIV. Women represent some of the majority group of, or if not the majority group of people affected by HIV globally. In the United States, the face of HIV is Black gay men because Black gay men have the highest numbers of HIV within the United States. But outside the United States, it's women, and it could very well be, if I remember correctly, it is Black women. The trial results show that 30% of participants, 6 out of 20, were able to stay off HIV treatment for nearly a year, and 20% for participants remained off treatment until the trial ended at 55 weeks. Even after the trial, those four individuals who are still being closely monitored have continued without medication for an average of a year and a half. So that's definitely got to keep an eye on that. While this treatment approach didn't work for most participants, it is still a significant development in HIV cure research. Studying how the 20% managed to control the virus on their own will help scientists develop better HIV cure strategies as well as work out ways to improve future treatments. So 4 participants, or 20% of the study, were able to remain virally suppressed, meaning no new trace of the HIV virus is being produced over a year and a half. Of course, you have to continuously monitor them. They need to be tested on a regular basis. As they get older, all those factors matter. The overall health of the patient. Do they develop any other health issues? What are the current health issues? All those things matter. Of course, I know they cover that, but just saying that for the conversation, right? So all those bases have to be covered when you're talking about taking people off of antiretroviral medicine. So look at it like this. Antiretroviral medicines, if used properly, could get the patients to what we call virally suppressed, meaning that even if they do a blood draw, it's not enough traces of the HIV virus in the blood to be detected. Now, if you take the patient off of the medicines for a short amount of time, or even a significant amount of time, the HIV virus the production of the virus will increase. And so that's what they're facing, right? You get, like they say, you get the person to either a virally suppressed level or a level where the HIV medicine has a good control of the HIV duplication. So now you put them on this immune booster, this powerful immune booster, and this powerful immune booster helps to fight the virus even more. And so 4 out of the 55 who remain, 4 out of the people, and it was 20 participants. It's 20 participants. 6 were able to stay off treatment for nearly a year, and 4 were able to stay off treatment until the trial remained, and it lasted for a year and a half. So those are improvements. It's a small study, but progress nevertheless. So that's something that maybe in the future, or if more resources are poured into it and it's protected, could definitely benefit. But understand that how this will greatly be a contender to the pharmaceutical industry. Understand that. Put a pin in that for future reference. So, Negro news. Negro news. Karmelo Anthony was released on bail and is now on house arrest, and people have lost their minds. The family is getting death threats. The whole family is getting death threats. The judge is also getting death threats. Judge Angela Tucker, the judge who reduced the bail and allowed him to be released on house arrest, is also getting death threats. Our other judge, the city girl judge, as Pink Book Lessons call her, she's convicted of shooting and wounding her ex-boyfriend as he slept. She tried to take the man out. She has a history of trying to take out her ex-boyfriends. And South Africa has made progress in showing results of possibly coming up with a cure for HIV. 4 stories on Negro News, the Negro News Network, where, you know, we bring the good, the bad, the ugly, what's happening in the Negro community, and of course the global Negro community, right? And so let me let the rest of this play, and then, you know, we're gonna close this out.
That we find a cure, not just for HIV, but other critical diseases like tuberculosis, especially in the climate right now where funding is in question and there's a panic globally about how things are going to go. Are we going to have funding for treatment? Are we going to have funding to keep our programs going? When we're worried about, in some locations, we're safe here, we're in a good position in South Africa, but other countries are not as fortunate as us.
Dungu says a community and public engagement is needed to support HIV cure research. I'm Nantlakani Pamakwaza for SABC News in Durban.
Hey. Happy for them, definitely happy for them that they are able to make that type of progress. And, you know, hopefully in the future, that is something that could greatly reduce the number of Black people globally who are losing their lives to HIV. So that's how we get down Negro News. Happy Saturday. I hope you enjoy your Saturday. Remember, like this video, and if you don't hit that like button, then you ain't African American. You don't like Black people. You don't support Black stuff. And Joe Biden told me to tell y'all that. Remember, like this video, comment, subscribe, and share. Share with as many people as possible. We need to stay up on what's going on. And remember, this Negro News gives you a picture of what we be talking about when we're doing our book readings, the lectures, the Wednesday videos when we're giving historical profiles, the clips on Thursdays, especially those breakdown Fridays, right? When we're talking about the culture, the mindsets, the programming, the behavior, the system of white supremacy, how all of that is connected to how we operate as Black people. And we're operating in a degenerative way, and we're just showing you, but also throwing some good in to show you that it ain't all bad out here. But this is a picture of what we're working with, and as Black people, if we know what we're working with, we can definitely work to be better. So remember that. And I will put a link to the Karmelo Anthony arrest report in the description, and I will also put a link to the Pink Book Lessons YouTube channel in the description. Go check her out. I love y'all. Make sure y'all catch the next video coming up. Peace. Outing.